early this morning. Clouds aren't that thick over the northeast. They're low and they don't show up very well, but they were there all day long, and they continue to produce a little bit of drizzle and light rain from time to time. Nice and clear in the southeast, a beautiful day there today. But to the west, you can see a lot of cloudiness over the Great Lakes. That's the upper level low and the dying old low that went off into Canada after it produced a couple of feet of snow in the upper Midwest. The enhancement again shows the cold front is now way, way offshore, just bothering the shipping lanes. Now, on the national map, things have quieted down quite a bit over the last 48 hours or so. No complaints from the weather department. Here's the old low dying in Ontario. A secondary formed last night, and it's now out in the eastern parts of the Gulf of Maine. I've just kind of cheated a little bit and put it east of Massachusetts to remind you that it was there. We still have cloudiness that extends back into the lakes, cold air moving into the northeast, and it's going to be reinforced with northwesterly winds during the next 2 days, so temperatures are going to trend down a little bit. Speaking of that, it's chilly in the southeast. Right now it's colder in Atlanta, Georgia than it is here in Albany. It's 36 degrees. A little bit of snow in Colorado, but on the light side this time, just 1 to 4 inches or so during the course of the day. And notice, as I mentioned at 6, cool temperatures in the west, cool in the southeast, cold over the northern tier of states. No real contrast set up among the temperature and the air masses, so there's no real fuel for storms the next couple of days. We're going to have a rather tranquil weather pattern, especially when you compare it to this last weekend. Folks in the Midwest will be glad to hear about that. Let's take a look at the details of the forecast tonight. Considerable cloudiness. We still have the risk of a few sprinkles and flurries in the higher elevations as it gradually turns cooler. 32 to 37 will be the overnight low. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness, brisk winds, wind chill factors way down in the 20s, flurries in the hills 37 to 42. And tomorrow night we'll see patchy clouds, diminishing winds. It will be colder. There may be a few stray flurries around, and that'll be the case on Thursday as well, with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Again, a chilly day coming up, 35 to 40, and the cold air looks like it's here for a while, but it is going to be dry. I don't see any big storms in the making for several days right now. The cold weather, though, will be with us right into the weekend. So that's good news for ski areas because they'll be able to make a lot of machine-made snow over the course of the next several nights. Now, as far as snow is concerned in the snow game, 13 snow games still alive and kicking. We're looking for the first 6-inch snowfall at the Albany County Airport. We'd like your guess on the day and the time of that date when it's going to go above 6 inches. One storm we're talking about, and we have some nice gifts for you. You have to send a postcard in with your guess to 13 Snow Game, WNYT, Box 4035, Albany, New York, 12204. And again, you can win a weekend for 2 at Bel Air Mountain or 2 pair of Elan laser skis from the Phoenix Ski Shop in Latham. Good luck to everyone.
All from Herb Santa Claus Stevens. Okay, thank you, Herb.
And ahead in sports, the Siena College basketball team played its home opener tonight against a less than awesome team from Pennsylvania. Mac has that story and all of tonight's scores next. Siena tonight played a college basketball team that is not known for winning. And I guess Siena did all right tonight.
Not known for anything, really. Division III Allentown, why they're on the schedule, I'll never know. Anyway, expected to see the Indians win this one big. Mark Cooper covered the game, and he's here now to tell us all about it.
Is won by Notre Dame. Sluby underneath the Hicks against Uwe Blop, and Blop did a great job defensively.
6 minutes, they're going to foul if they have. And Dolan tried to get up.
I'm awfully sorry. That was a Notre Dame game, and we'll get to that in a minute. In fact, we'll get to it right now. In action among the majors tonight, Bobby Knights, we can run that tape now. Indiana put a tenacious defense to work in the second half, holding Notre Dame to just 6 points in the first 8 minutes and coming from 7 points back to win 80 to 72. Key to this one was the big center Uwe Blop, number 33, and freshman Marty Simmons, and you can't see him, but I can tell you about him. At one point, Indiana ran off 15 unanswered points, and that was really the game. And it was just a very, very fine game all around for them tonight. The freshman Simmons ended up with 22 points tonight, 17 in the second half. Elsewhere in college basketball tonight, Syracuse ran past Cornell 84-55, beat them by 29 points. The Pearl freshman Dwayne Washington had 16 points. Princeton by a dozen over Rutgers, and Harvard 78-64 over Dartmouth. They win by 14. In the NBA tonight, San Antonio beaten by New York, 118-106, 20 for Ray Williams. Philadelphia 98-96 over Indiana, 28 in that for Moses Malone. Denver beat Atlanta 105-96. In the fourth period tonight, Houston 86-83 over Chicago, and Detroit 103-93 over Cleveland. And finally, Milwaukee 94-88 over Washington, 28 in that for Marcus Johnson. In schoolboy action tonight, Coach Tom Howley of Niskayuna moved to within 5 wins of that magic 400 victory circle career-wise as the Silver Warriors beat Boston Spa 53-43. Rob Comby at 16. That kid, just a fine athlete. In other action, Tony Pearson's 20 led Ravine over Bern Knox 67-31, and Cambridge ripped St. Mary's of Hoosick Falls 57-33 on a 21-point night by Paul Gruber. And finally, Lansingburg over Tamarack by 148-47. In baseball, reports all over the place tonight that the Dodgers have decided to trade 34-year-old outfielder Dusty Baker. Baker's stats dropped the past 2 years, and the Dodgers think he's on the downside. According to reports, the Dodgers would like to replace him with free agent Darrell Evans. Thing is, everybody's after Evans, including the New York Yankees. In hockey tonight, the Adirondack Red Wings, depleted by injuries and call-ups by the parent Detroit club, managed to get a 1-1 tie with powerful Nova Scotia. Talk about a moral victory. Solheim got the Wings goal. Mikolev tough in the net tonight. He had 18 saves. In St. Louis tonight, the Islanders got a hat trick early from Brent Sutter in a 5-5 tie with the Blues. This goal hotly disputed. St. Louis claiming that Sutter used his body to raise the entire net. Take a look, see for yourself. What do you think? And let the puck tickle under. Now. No question about the second goal, though. Sutter picks off a pass in front and goes in for the wrist shot. Then came the hat trick, still in the first period. Nice feed from Gillies. Sutter goes in from the left side, beats Hines over the shoulder. Elsewhere in the league tonight, Buffalo 5-2 over Montreal. The New Jersey Devils 3-2 over Chicago. The Devils were Angels tonight. They break an 8-game losing streak. In Quebec, 6-3 over Washington. Larry Holmes and the WBC are just about kaput tonight. They're threatening to strip Holmes of his crown. He said he's fed up with them and might defect anyway. All this comes in the wake of Holmes' impressive knockout here of Marvis Frazier last week. Holmes wants to fight Harry Cozean next. Cozean is the WBA champion, and they're talking one of the richest fights in boxing history. But the WBC wants Holmes to fight Greg Page next, and Holmes couldn't make anywhere near the money he could fighting Page as he could Cozean. And as far as the WBC title goes, Holmes probably could care less. Obviously, because if he beats Cozean, he's WBA champion anyway. Stay tuned, folks. This is just getting interesting. And finally, late men's basketball. Manhattan beat St. Francis, New York, 60-59. Tim Kaine of Latham, 24 points and 9 rebounds. I'm sorry we didn't get that tape in on Siena, but believe me, folks, they blew Allentown away, and we'll have a report from Mark Cooper on that tomorrow night.
Okay,
All right,
good.
Mac, how's your karma tonight?
My karma.
Well, we know how our karma is. Ahead on 13 News tonight, a look at Albany's other history as we celebrate the county's tricentennial. You stay with us. For a short period of time, Albany County boasted of having a French family with royal ties living in Waterville. As Albany County celebrates its tricentennial, Benita Zahn looks into the life of this family in tonight's segment of her special report, Albany's Other History.
The brick house atop Mulberry Hill in Waterville has an almost majestic air about it, and rightly so. Back in 1794, the Marquis and Madame de la Tour de Pin and their 2 children lived there. They'd escaped from France with the sound of the guillotine ringing in their ears.
They arrived here with letters of introduction to General Schuyler, the Van Burens, and other prominent families, the Van Rensselaers also.
The house back then was made of wood. The brick building went up over the original foundation after a fire in the 1800s. Although the de la Tours bought the house for 12,000 francs, they, like their neighbors, had to pay rent to the patroon. The fee? 22 pecks of corn.
It must have been very hard with wood furnaces, no running water. It's a complete change and a different type of life than they had been living.
But Madame de la Tour, the one-time lady-in-waiting at the palace at Versailles, made the transition to farm wife with style. Henriette Lucie notes in her memoirs that she dressed like her neighbors, and that won her a place in their hearts.
She made butter and eggs and sold them.
And Henriette Lucie's memoirs note her butter was considered the cleanest and most elegant in the country. But the family knew misfortune as well. The de la Tour's young daughter died, and her body is buried on the hill at an unmarked spot. The family returned to France after the Revolution in 1796 over Madame de la Tour's wishes to remain. Since that time, the house has known many owners. In 1959, the Sisters of St. Joseph's purchased the property and built their provincial house on the land. Although the de la Tours only lived here a short period of time, they did leave their mark on the community. One of the busier intersections along Route 155 is right here at Delator Road. Benita Zahn, 13 News Tonight, Ward of Lead.
And tomorrow, Benita will show us some of the craftsmanship in downtown Albany most of us have never noticed. That's a report for tonight. I'm Nancy Cozean.
I'm Craig Alexander. The Tonight Show is next. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 6.